Chapter 31 Mitel Yafei. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the vigilant gazes of several armed guards at the door, Xiao Yan walked straight in without stopping. As soon as he entered the club, the hot feeling was as if it had been ripped away from his body. The cool feeling gives people a strange feeling of two worlds inside and outside. His eyes swept across the splendid and spacious hall, and Xiao Yan stepped towards a room. On the door of the room, there are three big characters: Treasure Appraisal Room, printed in shining gold. Pushing the door open, the room was a little empty, except for a middle-aged man sitting boredly on a chair by the table. Hearing the sound of the door opening, the middle-aged man raised his head and looked at the figure wrapped in a black robe. His brows wrinkled without trace, and then a professional smile quickly appeared on his face. "Sir, are you planning to appreciating treasures?" "Well," a dry old voice came out from under the black robe, and it turned out to be Yao Lao's voice. Xiao Yan took 2 steps forward, placed his fingers slightly on the table, and a bright blue flower appeared on the table. The moment the flowers appeared, an icy coldness emitted, and the temperature of the entire room began to drop. "This is..." Blinking his eyes, the middle-aged man carefully picked up the medicinal materials and carefully identified them before saying, "Bing Hai Tang. This is an extremely precious medicinal material. Due to its strong ice attribute, it is undoubtedly an extremely beneficial aid for practitioners of ice attribute fighting spirit. The most important thing is that the petals of this ice begonia are quite large, which shows that they are of an extraordinary age, which is rare." This Bing begonia was one of Xiao Yan's trophies from killing the wolf-head mercenary group. It was the most valuable medicinal plant among them and could be auctioned for at least 3,000 gold coins. The middle-aged man was a little moved, and carefully put the Bing Hai Tang back on the table, and said respectfully, "Sir, can you wait a moment? I need to ask Master Gu and I from our auction house to come over and identify the age of the medicinal materials." "Well, hurry up." Xiao Yan waved his hand and sat down on a chair nearby, then closed his eyes to rest. The middle-aged man nodded and hurried out of the room. Sitting on the chair, Xiao Yan said, "It's just a 76-year-old ice crabapple. I'm afraid it's not enough to buy what we need. With the value of that little flower, I definitely can't afford it." Yao Lao chuckled. "However, that doesn't mean that you can't afford other things. Making money from money is one of the most powerful abilities of an alchemist." "Teacher, are you going to refine the medicine?" Xiao Yan murmured, and couldn't help but wonder what Yao Lao would refine in the first place. Yao Lao sighed. "Originally, I usually don't give this stuff to others, but now I can only take out some box treasures. If you watch it carefully, then, it will be of great benefit to you in refining medicine in the future." "Let me see. This shows that the grade is not high," Xiao Yan speculated. "Could it be the foundation building spiritual liquid?" After a while, the middle-aged man came back, but this time, he also brought an old man in green clothes with some gray hair. "Sir, this is Master Gu and I from our auction house. He is a 1-star fighting master. He is also a 2nd-grade alchemist." The middle-aged man said respectfully. The old man's face was flushed, and although the green clothes on his body looked ordinary, there was a faint flow of light. Obviously, this clothes should have been blessed with some kind of magic core protection. On his ordinary old face, there is a touch of arrogance that is difficult to conceal, which is a must-have for every alchemist. As soon as Gu and I came, he glanced at Xiao Yan without any trace, and found that except for his strange clothes, everything else was ordinary and nothing special. The middle-aged man carefully picked up Bing Hai Tang from the table and handed it to Gu and I. After taking the medicinal materials, Gu and I looked at it carefully, then he said to the middle-aged man in a deep voice, "This ice begonia is crystal clear, and its veins have given birth to special ice veins. It is at least 70 years old. It is indeed very special." "Good." Hearing this, the middle-aged man learned the experience of identifying this Bing Hai Tang, and smiled warmly at Xiao Ri. "Sir, are you planning to auction this medicinal material? Arrange the fastest auction time for me." Of course there is no problem. Sir, please take this to the number 1 auction room. The auction is still being held there. Your medicinal materials will be auctioned later." The middle-aged man smiled and handed over a dark iron plate. Well, Xiao Yan casually took the iron plate and walked out of the room without stopping under the gazes of the two people. After watching Xiao Yan disappear, the middle-aged man asked in a low voice, Master Gu and I remember that Bing Haitang is surrounded by a group of ice wolf monsters guarding it. And the older the year, the more powerful the ice wolf monsters it guards. Bing Haitang, who has been here for more than 70 years, needs at least an elite mercenary team. What kind of strength does this person have? I don't see any strength in him. Gu and I frowned and shook his head in confusion. Maybe he is a representative sent by the mercenary group, just an ordinary person in the fighting spirit stage. Wutan City is close to the Warcraft Mountains, and such things are not uncommon for the two of them. Under the leadership of a maid, Xiao Yan walked into the ongoing auction. Xiao Yan has been to this place many times and is no stranger to it. At this time, under the lights in the center of the auction room, Yafei, who was wearing a red dress, was explaining the functions of the items in her hands to everyone in the room with her voice that was so charming that it made people feel numb. In Yafei's crisp and tingling voice, the price of that item, which was actually not that unusual, was rising at a fiery speed. The current Yafei is about 1.7 meters tall, with a tall figure, skin like white jade, face like a peony, eyes with clear black and white eyes, shining with hope, seductive and soul-stirring, and a small cherry mouth, which is very charming. The teeth are as neat and white as broken jade, and also like pomegranates. They are tall and full, with attractive curves. The waist is like a curl, the hips are high, and the legs are slim and slender. There is also a hint of girlish innocence in her charm. Yafei, who is in her early 20s, is really a perfect royal sister, and her every move is sultry. It is really hard to imagine how enchanting and beautiful she will become after 3 years, under the catalysis of time. Since he no longer had the aura of the young master of the Xiao family this time, Xiao Yan sat in a more remote location. Xiao Yan, who was sitting quietly, suddenly frowned and turned his head slightly, looking at a man hidden in the darkness not far from his seat. At this time, the man was looking at Yafei on the stage with blazing eyes, his hands slightly opening and closing his red cherry mouth, constantly comforting himself. Holy shit! Xiao Yan cursed in a low voice. Under the cloak, Xiao Yan rolled his eyes. This guy is too tough. It started 3 years ago. Are you not afraid of dying at the auction house? Chapter 32 Strange Fire List. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the auction house, the climax continued as the charming woman Yafei covered her mouth and chuckled. Bing Haitang, which Xiao Yan originally estimated to be about 3,000 gold coins, was actually auctioned for 4,000 gold coins thanks to its charm. After silently thanking the grievance, Xiao Yan left the number 1 auction house and returned to the treasure appraisal room again. After a while, a burst of hurried footsteps came from outside, and 2 figures pushed open the door and entered. Is this the owner of Bing Haitang Medicinal Materials? The fragrant breeze blew over, and a numb and delicate chuckle suddenly sounded in Xiao Yan's ears, making his heart tremble slightly. Cursing a goblin in his heart, Xiao Yan buried his face deeply in his cloak and shifted his gaze slightly to the woman in red dress standing beside him. In close contact, Xiao Yan once again appreciated the maturity and charm of this woman. On Yanqi's pretty face with a beautiful smile, there is a pair of narrow and beautiful eyes that are full of water, which seems to be attracting men all the time. His eyes moved past the slender and elegant jade neck without trace, but he was almost sucked into the deep snow-white ravine. Xiao Yan almost watched them grow up gradually. He really didn't know what they ate to make them grow by such a rapid pace. Nodding slightly, Yao Lao's voice came out dryly. You are here to give money, so there is no need for such trouble. Exchange the gold coins for 15 pieces of 20-year-old purple leaf orchids, and 5 pieces of first-order wood attributes. Demon Core, prepare another quiet room for me. As if she was a little surprised by the age and requirements of the master under the black robe, Yafei covered her red lips with her jade hands and smiled softly, and a pair of plump breasts drew a thrilling arc. Sir needs medicinal materials and magic core. Could it be that he is an alchemist? Yafei rarely sees alchemists without badges. I don't know your surname. What? Baby girl, do you have to declare your identity when you come to this place? Under the black robe, Yao Lao said calmly. Haha, Yafei is just curious. If the old gentleman doesn't want to talk, Yafei naturally doesn't dare to ask. Yafei giggled, looking through the edge of the cloak. Xiao Yan looked at the pair of snow-white feet hidden in the tight red dress beside him. Xiao Yan felt helpless. This Yafei was really a big fairy. If I put on a pair of black silk stockings again, then, with the old monster Yao Lao entangled, Yafei, the big fox, has been unable to come up with anything useful. In the end, Yafei had to give up this idea and ask the maid to get the medicinal materials and magic core with a smile. Prepare another ring, a medicinal cauldron, 500 blood coagulation grass, 600 bone flowers, 500 poppies, and 500 vitality fruits. Think about it, this is more useful to the auction house than the nonsense just now many. After getting up and putting away the medicinal materials, Yao Lao said something to Yafei. Listening to these requests, Guni's eyelids twitched slightly. Neji, even at the lowest level, requires 70,000 to 80,000 gold coins. Although the medicinal materials behind are not uncommon, such a large amount still requires a full 100,000 gold coins to obtain. Furthermore, a medicine cauldron, no matter how ordinary it is, costs at least over 100,000 gold coins. The total of these items is at least about 300,000 gold coins. Yafei was also shocked. Such a big business was rare to come across once a year in Wutan City. Uncle Gu and I, didn't you say that this might be a member of the mercenary group? Judging from his last request, it seems that he is a strong alchemist. After a moment of silence, Yafei asked softly. Thinking that he had not discovered the opponent's strength at all, Gu and I sighed. It seems that the opponent's strength is far superior to mine. More powerful than Uncle Gu and I, isn't he a second-grade alchemist? Yafei opened her mouth in shock. At least a third-grade alchemist. In the Jiama Empire, that person is very rare. The alchemist's temper is a little weird. Don't even think about investigating his identity. If he has a bad impression of the auction house, it would not be a wise move to offend a mysterious alchemist who doesn't know his level at will. The most important thing to do now is how to make him feel good. This Yafei knows. She curled her lips, held her cheeks in her hands, and sighed softly. Why didn't she have this talent? Following the maid's lead again, Xiao Yan quickly entered a room that looked like an in-guest room. Yao Lao flicked his fingers and immediately took out the magic core of the medicinal material, but there were 10 more bone-washing flowers than what he wanted just now. On the Dou Qi Continent, there are countless medicinal materials. If you want to prepare elixirs with different effects, you must select from these countless materials the medicinal materials that can neutralize the violent energy in the magic crystal you need to refine. This foundation-building spiritual liquid is a recipe I developed after many years of experimentation. If others see the clues and refine it by mistake, it will be a huge loss. Xiao Yan smiled bitterly and shook his head. He was really cautious. The palm of his hand stretched out flatly. Yao Lao fell silent for a while, and the forest-white flame rose slowly. This is bone spirit cold fire. Xiao Yan looked at the flames with solemn eyes, and his heart skipped a beat. Having just fought against Sunner today, Xiao Yan gained a lot of insights regardless of whether he was displaying the real Golden Emperor's burning sky flame or his son's fire. In the past, he only knew the information about the strange fire. After seeing the real thing with his own eyes, he had a deeper understanding of the strange fire. The idea of self-created strange fire became increasingly clear. The soul's perception constantly controlled the temperature of the flame. Yao Lao took advantage of this free time and glanced at Xiao Yan, who was looking at the flame in his palm with curiosity. After a slight hesitation, he said softly. An alchemist can generally tell his grade from the color of the flame. Generally, the flames of an alchemist are light yellow. The higher the grade, the darker the color and the stronger the power. Of course, this is a common flame for alchemists. However, in the circle of alchemists, in addition to relying on the strong fighting spirit to catalyze the flame, you can also borrow fire. Stronger alchemists can use the beast fire formed in the body of the monster, and those who are stronger and more powerful can use the strange fire. Speaking of this, Yao Lao became particularly serious. In this vast world, there are some strange fires from heaven and earth. Perhaps it is the cluster of flames carried in the center of the meteorite falling from the sky, or perhaps it is the forged fire deep in the volcano. The lava fire that has been burning for thousands of years, these strange fires are a bit more powerful than the flames catalyzed by Dou Qi. When made into medicine, they can also increase the potency of the elixir. However, these strange fires from heaven and earth are extremely violent, and it is rare to meet them by chance, and even if once you see it, it is extremely difficult to use it for your own use. Yao Lao looked at his own flames with a slightly gleaming face, and said with blazing eyes, "The medicine refining community in Dou Qi Continent has compiled the now known strange fires into a list of strange fires, in which there are 213 kinds. My kind of fire is the 11th ranked bone spirit cold fire. This kind of strange fire can only be encountered in extremely cold and extremely gloomy places every 100 years, when the sun and the moon alternate." Chapter 33, Enlightenment Against Heaven, Transformed into Emperor Yan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teacher, the alien fire is a bit far away from me. Should you prepare to give me a beast fire? Maybe this beast fire can also evolve Burning Jue. Xiao Yan took the opportunity to say. Yao Lao pondered, it is possible. However, Wutan City is too small. Even if you are the largest auction house, it is still unclear whether there is a medicine refining cauldron. There is definitely no such rare thing as animal fire. It doesn't matter, just bring it to us sooner or later. Xiao Yan was not in a hurry. Yao Lao waved his hand, let's talk about it later. This time I only refined the gold coins of Neji, medicine cauldron, and medicinal materials. Squinting his eyes slightly, Yao Lao picked up the purple leaf orchid with his left hand, and the bone spirit cold fire on his palm suddenly rose. In an instant, the temperature in the room rose a lot. Yao Lao's face was indifferent. It was easy for him to refine something like foundation building spiritual liquid. Each medicinal plant was thrown into the flames, and Yao Lao also introduced to Xiao Yan the detailed characteristics and birth conditions of Xianhuang Yan, 10,000 beast spirit fire and other strange fires. Xiao Yan listened carefully, his dark eyes staring at the bone spirit lengua, thinking of Burning Jue's fusion of multiple flames to reach the peak, and suddenly remembered the words of a sword. Cultivator in his mind, he himself is the strongest sword. Xiao Yan couldn't help but start to ask himself in his heart, why can't his own fire attribute fighting spirit be cultivated into the strongest flame between heaven and earth? In an instant, Xiao Yan's heart suddenly trembled. It takes a long time for a strange fire to be born from heaven and earth, and even after a long period of growth, it cannot make this kind of strange fire invincible. But if a person wants to reach the peak of Dou Qi Continent, as long as there is enough opportunity, it does not take too long. You relied on your knowledge of the Golden Emperor's burning sky flame, bone spirit cold fire and your deduction of the information about the strange fire, and you had an epiphany. You comprehended version 2.0 of the burning technique. Burning Jue 2.0 version retains the effect of Burning Jue 1.0 that integrates the alien fire. The advantages of this technique allow the practitioner to transform into the world and cultivate his fire attribute fighting spirit towards the alien fire. What kind of strange fire is cultivated and what kind of intensity of the strange fire is closely related to the practitioner's understanding, strength, and opportunity. The heaven and earth are black and yellow, and the gods are pregnant, and the fire of the furnace refines the true gold. The stars shine on the ancient moon, and the unknown chaos hides the mysterious sound. Xiao Yan was thinking something in his mind, but he stood still like a statue. As Xiao Yan entered a state of stillness, the surrounding air suddenly trembled, and with a buzzing sound, energy from heaven and earth surged in. Between the lightning and flint, Xiao Yan seemed to transform into a huge black hole, continuously absorbing the energy of heaven and earth that crazily poured into his body. What happened? Yao Lao was stunned. He was giving a lecture, and then Xiao Yan made a breakthrough. Looking at the scale of the energy of heaven and earth, even the breakthroughs of great fighting masters, fighting spirits, and fighting kings seemed to be far behind. Yao Lao was really frightened. If the current Xiao Yan absorbed the terrifying energy that was enough for the peak Do Wang to break through Do Huang, he would be burst. Yafei and Guanai, the two managers of Mitre Auction House, also looked at the room where Xiao Yan was in shock. What happened to the energy of heaven and earth? Yafei asked in surprise as she didn't know much about cultivation. Guanai has never seen such terrifying energy fluctuations. Could it be that the alchemist has advanced? Or is he refining terrifying elixirs? But even Yao Lao couldn't understand such a strange thing, let alone Guanai. Arrange it quickly. No one can come near this room. Guanai quickly backed away. No matter what the reason is, the scale of the energy of this world is very important to the people inside. As long as they do their job at the Mitre auction house, it will be fine. The moment Xiao Yan had an epiphany, the surge of energy from heaven and earth was like a huge boulder dropped in a calm lake, causing terrifying waves. The burning technique reached a terrifying speed at this moment, and a fierce suction force surged out of his body. In this kind of crazy surge and crazy suction, the two-pronged blessing caused the mottled energy between heaven and earth to actually form a lustrous energy light curtain a few feet around Xiao Yan, which was extremely dazzling. Yao Lao was suspended in mid-air, looking at the situation caused by Xiao Yan, his brows furrowed tightly. What is this little guy doing? How dare he absorb such mottled energy directly? That the amount of energy in the world is no longer too huge to describe. It contains too many impurities. It must be refined and purified through the meridians before it can be completely absorbed. Otherwise, it will pollute the fighting spirit that you have worked so hard to cultivate. The current Xiao Yan obviously does not have the ability to refine the energy of the world on a large scale. Yao Lao frowned tightly, exhaled slowly, suppressed the anxiety in his heart, and stared at Xiao Yan quietly, planning to rescue him at any time. When Yao Lao was very confused and anxious, Xiao Yan had no idea about the changes in the outside world. He wanted to promote his fighting spirit to the level of strange fire, and one day reach the level of Emperor Yan, and then surpass the level of Emperor Yan. Countless energies of heaven and earth circulate along the path of the Burning Jue technique. In the high-speed circulation, a strange feeling that seems to exist in the soul surges in Xiao Yan's heart. Just as Xiao Yan's mind was further immersed in this wonderful feeling, the energy of the world around the Mitre auction house began to surge crazily. Immediately, it rotated rapidly, and finally formed a spiral funnel with a small bottom and a large top in the air above Xiao Yan's head. The small end was connected to Xiao Yan's Tianling cap, and the huge energy was poured into Xiao Yan's body crazily, and with such a huge energy infusion, Xiao Yan's soul power continued to compress the skyrocketing fighting energy, and obvious changes finally appeared in his body. A wisp of black-yellow flames rose up inside the nebula-like Dou Qi cyclone. The flames were like candles in the wind and could be extinguished at any time, but the scorching temperature carried by this small flame cannot be underestimated at all. Even Xiao Yan's powerful body was affected. The moment the flame was born, Xiao Yan's body temperature suddenly rose sharply, and his rosy cheeks seemed to be a precursor to self-immolation. What happened? Yao Lao was confused and had no intention of refining the medicine. After a moment of confusion, the violent energy released by the magic core reacted violently with the liquid medicine calcine from the medicinal materials. Yao Lao noticed it and quickly raised his hand to form a layer of protection around Xiao Yan's body, blocking out all sounds from the outside world. Just when Yao Lao finished all this, the foundation-building spiritual liquid on his palm failed to be refined and exploded. The huge explosion power made the whole room tremble suddenly. Hearing the noise in the room, Guni's eyes narrowed slightly and he murmured, "It seems that a third-grade alchemist failed to refine the medicine." Chapter 34, Accumulation, Strength Surges. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No alchemist can guarantee 100% success. Refining medicine to explode a cauldron is too common for an alchemist, benefiting from many years of fighting spirit training, which expands the meridians and forges the meridians. Xiao Yan has terrifying experience in basic training, far surpassing Dou Emperor's heaven-defying understanding. Xiao Yan has been practicing Dou Qi for many years, and has already mastered the basic training in the initial stage. It's just that Xiao Yan has never practiced the technique, and it hasn't been too obvious, and this experience has finally exerted some of its effects today. Xiao Yan condensed the powerful and pure strange fire of his fighting spirit, Xianhuang Yan. Although this is not a naturally raised strange fire, the effect is the same, and even if it is the same kind of strange fire, there are differences in strength and weakness. The fallen heart flame currently sealed in Canaan College is extremely terrifying, but the inner fire seeds that burned in the magma world of the Qi refining tower that day were very weak, absorbing the pure Dou Qi. Xianhuang Yan beats in Xiao Yan Dou's cyclone, becoming stronger and stronger. As the Xianhuang Yan grew, it began to slowly spread throughout Xiao Yan's Dou Qi cyclone. As the Dou Qi cyclone circulated, it flowed into Xiao Yan's meridians. If wild Xianhuang Yan, even if it is a strange fire seed, enters the meridians so directly, it will inevitably burn Xiao Yan's meridians and seriously injure him. However, this is the Xianhuang flame condensed by Xiao Yan's self-enlightenment, like a part of his body. For Xiao Yan, this Xianhuang Yan has pure benefits. Xianhuang Yan flows through, like a warm ribbon, gently brushing against the skin. The meridians feel this warm nourishment, just like spring rain nourishing the parched land, feeling refreshed and happy. A warm current gushes out from the Xianhuang flame, flowing along the meridians, warming every flesh, bone, and cell. Xiao Yan's body was further strengthened and improved under the nourishment of Xianhuang Yan. When the Xianhuang Yan traveled around the meridians, the aura of Xianhuang Yan emerged from the surface of Xiao Yan's body without any warning, and the light yellow flames completely enveloped his body. After the flame appeared, it slowly squirmed, and finally the light yellow flame gradually transformed into a rich black-yellow flame. Xianhuang Yan enveloped Xiao Yan's body like a layer of flame clothing, and the majestic energy that crazily poured into Xiao Yan's body from the surrounding world was stopped in front of the scorching temperature. Under the protection of Xianhuang Yan, the slightly mottled energy of heaven and earth will be tempered by the strange fire of Xianhuang Yan when passing through this layer of flames. In this way, Xiao Yan can absorb the energy of heaven and earth faster. A few minutes faster, and when Xiao Yan tempered the energy of heaven and earth into Dou Qi, and finally entered the cyclone of Dou, he would be calcined by Xianhuang Yan again, further purifying the already pure Dou Qi. This flame. Yao Lao's eyes suddenly shrank. It is not an ordinary fighting spirit flame. Its color is black and yellow, mysterious and deep, and the flames burn the heart of the world. Refining the body and transforming the essence back to its origin, the black and yellow flames shine on the horizon. This is Xianhuang Yan, which is number 23 on the alien fire list. That Yao Lao was dumbfounded. He has been by Xiao Yan's side since he was born. He knows best what opportunities Xiao Yan has, but now, Yao Lao is confused. Where did this Xianhuang Yan come from? Could it be that heaven-defying physique? Compared with ordinary people, Yao Lao has always known that Xiao Yan's physique is absolutely extraordinary. Even he had never heard of the effects of practicing in the mother's womb alone. Now, strange fires are automatically born. What kind of physique is so terrifying? Of course, the power of Xianhuang Yan cannot be compared to the fighting energy in Xiao Yan's body. Under the blessing of Xianhuang Yan, the energy of heaven and earth that penetrated into Xiao Yan's body from all directions had no resistance and was driven away like a bereaved dog, constantly escaping. When Xianhuang Yan was chasing the energy of heaven and earth, traces of Xianhuang flames continued to blend into Xiao Yan's flesh and bones, and every time the yellow flame blends into the flesh, the place will be slightly pale yellow, like a mark. With the pursuit from all directions, after a while, the fighting spirit in Xiao Yan's body was completely forced to have no room to survive. He could only hug each other into a fist-sized ball of pure white energy, tremblingly looking at the surrounding people. Zuan Wanjian comes, sensing the crisis. The energy suddenly trembled violently and poured into the Dou Qi cyclone. However, this happened to be entering the Zuan Wanjian base camp. As soon as the huge energy entered the cyclone, it caused a huge movement. Not only did the rotation speed suddenly accelerate a lot at this moment, but the cyclone, which was originally less than the size of a palm, was expanding rapidly. In the black-yellow cyclone, it keeps spinning and spinning, and as it rotates, wisps of energy turn into the most original energy and merge into the black-yellow flame in the center of the cyclone. Xianhuang Yan continues to strengthen under the infusion of pure energy. Xiao Yan's Dou Qi cyclone also continued to expand during this process. It did not gradually stop until its volume doubled. As the cyclone stopped expanding, wisps of fire attribute fighting energy that was more powerful than before flowed out of Xiao Yan's cyclone, and finally began to rotate in an orderly manner through the meridians throughout his body. Just after Xiao Yan's practice ended, everything in the outside world returned to normal. Yao Lao was stunned when he saw it. I jumped 3 stars at once and reached the level of a 5-star fighter. It took Xiao Yan less than 3 days to practice the technique. When did the speed of practicing the low-level Huang-level Burning Jue technique become so incredible? Even if it is a Xian-level advanced technique, coupled with countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures, it is difficult to achieve the terrifying cultivation speed of Xiao Yan with a solid foundation. However, thinking about the majestic amount of heaven and earth energy that Xiao Yan absorbed, Yao Lao felt relieved. Raising 3 stars seems a bit low for Xiao Yan. This is also a disadvantage after the skill is advanced. The advantage of practicing the Burning Jue 2.0 technique is that you can condense the strange fire on your own, so that you can save yourself the difficulty of finding strange fire in the future. The disadvantage is also quite obvious, just like Xiao Yan just now, although it has absorbed a huge amount of energy from heaven and earth, it will not increase its strength beyond the heavens. Alien fire was not born out of thin air, it requires the terrifying energy of heaven and earth to condense into shape, and, this is just the beginning. If you want the strange fire to exert sufficient power, you need to continue to pour energy into it to strengthen the growth of the strange fire. Otherwise, even if the strange fire is condensed, if it is not carefully cultivated, it will be similar to the fallen heart flame fire in the magma world and the soul body of Lord Skyfire, and is very weak. Only through careful cultivation can one exert the terrifying power of the great fallen heart flame sealed in the sky burning Qi refining tower. Chapter 35 The Idea of the Spirit Fire of All Beasts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Slowly opening his dark eyes, Xiao Yan could feel his current powerful strength. Xianhuang Yan is just the beginning. Xiao Yan believes that he will be able to make his fire attribute fighting energy become the most powerful flame between heaven and earth in the future. Yao Lao floated in the air and circled around Xiao Yan. After finding nothing wrong, he asked in a deep voice, "Little guy, do you know what happened to you?" "Of course." Xiao Yan nodded affirmatively. Yao Lao asked with wide eyes, "What is going on?" After listening to the teacher's explanation, "I have a lot of insights." Xiao Yan did not hide his terrifying understanding. He is a genius in his own right, but he is a little bit extraordinary. The alchemist's borrowing fire, whether it is animal fire or strange fire, is a manifestation of relying on external objects, and the same is true for the Burning Jue. The biggest feature of the Burning Jue is that it integrates powerful flames to advance to one's own level. Compared with using external objects, practicing to strengthen one's own fire attribute fighting spirit is also a good way to practice. That's how I understood it. Yao Lao was shocked. If you want to strengthen your fighting spirit attributes, changing to a high-level technique is the simplest way, and it seems to be the only way, but Xiao Yan did not change his skills, and what he had condensed was really. Yao Lao lost his voice and said, "What you have understood is almost the same as Xianhuang Yan, the 23rd in the strange fire rankings." Xiao Yan shook his head slightly. "Of course it's not as simple as it seems. If I hadn't stayed in the fighting spirit stage for many years and become so familiar with warming the body and tempering the fighting spirit, I wouldn't have been able to succeed and complete the heaven-defying act." Yao Lao did not expect that his original move to restore his soul power to its peak would accidentally create a miracle. Xiao Yan said seriously, "Teacher, the practice of Burning Jue has changed in my hands. Instead of looking for strange fire like a headless fly, it is better to create it yourself first. If enough beast fires can be collected, it is not impossible to achieve the 22nd ranked beast spirit fire on the strange fire list. Since it is said that, as soon as the strange fire comes out, all fires surrender, then we gather 10,001 kinds of flames. As long as you are willing to accumulate, surpassing the strange fire is only a matter of time, just like this burning technique that continues to advance." Yao Lao pondered for a moment and chuckled. Young people always like to have whimsical ideas. Don't think that saying a few beautiful words can change your destiny. If strange fire is really so easy to create, it won't be so precious. Xiao Yan shrugged. If Burning Jue is really that easy to practice, it won't fall on me. It's really sharp-tongued. Yao Lao smiled bitterly. There were powerful forces in Dou Qi Continent who thought of similar methods. With a flick of his finger, a ray of white light shot towards Xiao Yan and turned into a scroll. Yao Lao said slowly, "This is an ancient book I got by chance. It once described information about an artificial flame called the blood demon firework. To create this flame, you need to gather the blood eyes of nearly 1,000 fire attribute monsters, and then fuse the fire attribute blood filled with various auras together, and finally use the fire attribute energy in the blood to condense it into the shape of a flame. The formed flame is called the blood flame demonic fire. Of course, this fire also has strengths and weaknesses, and the difference between strength and weakness depends on the integrity of the tiny figure within the flame. Xiao Yan finished reading this description and nodded slightly. The blood flame demon fire does exist, and Chao Ing, the demon girl of the Chao family, controls a top-grade blood flame demon fire. This kind of flame is similar to the chemical fire, but the way of making it is more bizarre. In the past, obtaining beast fire was nothing to me. Yao Lao sighed. Now, resources are limited, and I have only received similar information about this type of artificial flame. There is no specific manufacturing method. What you can create in the end depends on your ability. Xiao Yan smiled slightly. The old demon old ghost and the Zhongzhou Chao family were able to develop artificial flames that surpass the green lotus earth core fire in the Tagar desert. If he couldn't even get a 10,000 beast spirit fire rank 22 on the strange fire list, then he would have changed his name as soon as possible due to his incredible understanding. Yao Lao said with relief, actually, you don't need to be so anxious. I have received information before. There should be a kind of strange fire called Fallen Heart Flame in Canaan College. This kind of strange fire is listed in the strange fire list ranked 14th. If you get this kind of strange fire, then the burning technique may be able to evolve significantly. Now, the only thing you need to pay attention to is to make yourself strong enough. Don't find the strange fire by then and you will be gone. No need to rush. Xiao Yan smiled lightly. If he didn't have a plan now, what would he do if he encountered the Soul Palace in the future? Although Yao Lao is extremely qualified in the art of refining medicine, in other aspects, plus version Furukawa, her alchemy skills are not bad, but she is adaptable to changes in the situation. Just by focusing on the evolution of burning art, you will be doomed as soon as you encounter the Soul Palace Duck Protector. In the later stage, if you hadn't been lucky enough to get the Dou Qi bones, which would increase your resurrection power, even Xingyan Pavilion would have been doomed. More importantly, without much power, most of the Xiao family members were killed or injured, and his father was also captured for several years. Can you do it without being in a hurry? Focusing on the 4 medicine bottles, the Yao Lao smiled bitterly and said, I failed to refine the second-grade medicine liquid. This is really a shame in my medicine refining career. After putting the things away, Yao Lao returned to the bone flame ring, and Xiao Yan returned to the treasure appraisal room, guessing that he was most likely a third-grade alchemist. Master Yafei and Master Guni both became respectful. With a wave of his arm, 4 jade bottles appeared on the table. Yao Lao's hoarse voice sounded again. The foundation building spirit liquid can increase the speed of practicing Dou Qi. Can it increase the speed of cultivation of fighting spirit? Hearing this, Yafei was a little moved. It has become common knowledge to almost everyone that Dou Qi can only be practiced in a regular way. Moreover, the veins in the body of a cultivator at this stage are extremely fragile. Once the medicine is too strong, it will lead to a tragic end of broken veins and death. My spiritual liquid has no side effects, and its potency is extremely mild. It will not cause that kind of consequences, so you can rest assured. Yao Lao's voice explained slowly, as if he understood what Yafei was thinking. Sir, please wait a moment. Gu and I picked up a white jade bottle and opened it, sniffing the fragrant smell. His old eyes narrowed slightly and his pupils flickered slightly. The mouth of the bottle was slightly slanted, and a small drop of cyan liquid slowly rolled out, and then floated in Guni's palm. Chapter 36 Devouring Beast Fire. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Before you devour it, you still need to prepare some things. Yao Lao said with a smile. Xiao Yan thought, could it be a second-grade elixir like the pulse protecting pill and the Bingxin pill? This is just a mild 5th-level beast fire, and it is not the beast fire cultivated by the purple crystal source of the 6th-level monster of the amethyst-winged lion king. If you still need to prepare elixirs for assistance, wouldn't it be a joke that you have practiced for more than 10 years in the fighting chi stage, to strengthen your meridians, expand your meridians, and build your foundation. What else do you need to prepare? Xiao Yan asked weakly. Don't worry, it's not an item for refining elixirs. What I'm talking about is not something you can get now. Yao Lao smiled, flicked his fingers, and a faint gray light suddenly slowly rose from his fingertips. The gray light circled in the air, and then landed gently on the stone surface. The light dissipated, revealing what was hidden in it. This is a gray stone about the size of a thumb. It is as smooth as jade without any flaws. In the heart of the stone, a little light blue light is slowly squirming, like a small insect with vitality. Looking at this small stone that was not very eye-catching, Xiao Yan couldn't help but ask, "What is this thing?" That Yao Lao did not explain directly, but said slowly, "Your fire attribute fighting spirit has been cultivated to the level of Xianhuang flame. If you directly swallow the beast fire, it is very likely that the two flames will be dissatisfied with each other, regardless of whether they are in your body. Whether it causes damage or merges into a kind of flame, neither of them meet expectations." Xiao Yan pondered and nodded. If this gentle peach blossom fire was swallowed directly, it would most likely become nourishment for Xianhuang Yan. If this is the case, it will be a waste of this peach blossom fire. The Burning Jue has changed under his understanding. The fire attribute grudge itself can evolve towards powerful flames. Now the greatest value of this peach blossom fire is to personally experience the feeling of swallowing flame evolution, thereby generating new understandings. The burning technique points out an evolution, which is indeed very miraculous, but this does not mean that only the Burning Jue technique can evolve. As practice deepens and understanding deepens, new understandings can emerge. It's just that the vast majority of people have done a good job of cultivating the skills of their predecessors and ensuring that they continue to be passed down, let alone changing and upgrading the skills. Therefore, even if Yao Lao has a misunderstanding, Fen Ju, a skill that can evolve, is very miraculous, but this misunderstanding does not exist at all for Xiao Yan. Since the beginning of his mother's practice, Xiao Yan has changed his practice several times. This is also the power of heaven-defying comprehension. With the blessing of experience, you can understand something more powerful. Nothing can be changed or moved. At this time, Yao Lao introduced, this object is called nailing, and it has something to do with Neji. It is only possible to find it in the center of the highest grade nailing stone. You must know that high-level nailing stone is an essential material for making high-grade narangs, so its rarity can be imagined, and the probability of nailings existing in high-grade narangs is not very high. Now you should be able to know the rarity of nailings is that to the extent that it turned out to be nailing. Xiao Yan opened his mouth and was stunned. The price of a low-level Nai ring is tens of thousands of gold coins. If it is an intermediate Nai ring, it will cost at least 10 times more. And a high-level Nai ring can be used as a token of super family inheritance. Compared with the high-level Neji, this kind of Neji is undoubtedly rare and pitiful. I am afraid it is not an exaggeration to describe it as rare, let alone him. Even Suna now can't come up with a rare item like nailing in a short time. Yao Lao saw Xiao Yan's dumbfounded look and finally regained his strength. He smiled and said, "This thing can open up a special small space in your body, and this small space was originally used to store strange fire. The place, after all, in terms of the destructiveness of the alien fire, if you do not completely refine it, then everything else except this void space will be burned instantly, including your cyclone and body. But now that your body is in a special situation, although the price of storing beast fire has dropped a bit, if it really allows you to create beast spirit fire in the future, it will be worth a try." Xiao Yan smiled slightly. Sure enough, having an old man in the family is like having a treasure. Okay, now, let's start devouring this peach blossom fire. I also want to see how much the beast fire can evolve the burning technique. Yao Lao exhaled and said with some anticipation. It's already a new burning technique. Xiao Yan reminded him, opened the jade bottle, opened his mouth and swallowed the peach blossom fire. At this moment, Yao Lao flicked his finger, and the little nailing on the ground turned into a gray light and shot straight into Xiao Yan's body. At the same time, the peach blossom fire rushed into Xiao Yan's meridians unconsciously, and the gentle flames surged slowly, seeming to be curious about this new environment. After directly swallowing this 5th level beast fire, Xiao Yan felt no pain. Except for a slight increase in body temperature. In addition to the fact that this peach blossom fire is very gentle, the main reason is that Xiao Yan relies on the Dou Qi cultivation method that is far beyond the mainland and has strong meridians forged over many years. Looking at Xiao Yan, who was only blushing, Yao Lao nodded slightly. After practicing like this for 3 years, with Xiao Yan's strength and physical fitness at that time, I will make careful preparations to integrate the fallen heart inflammation of Canaan College in the future. It will be dangerous. It will be significantly reduced. Within the Dou Qi cyclone, the surging Xianhuang Dou Qi surged out overwhelmingly, surrounding the peach blossom fire. Under the control of Xiao Yan's powerful soul power, he pulled it and began to flow along the meridians of Burning Jue. When Dou Qi enveloped Tao Huahua sensed the danger and began to attack the surrounding Dou Qi energy. However, Xiao Yan's fighting spirit is not ordinary fighting spirit. Suppressed by the scorching heat of Xianhuang Yan, Tao Huahua could only cooperate with Xiao Yan to circulate crazily in his meridians. As the skill was running rapidly, Xiao Yan keenly discovered that Tao Huahua, who was ahead of the pack, and his fighting spirit had begun to merge strangely. To be precise, peach blossom fire should be gradually being swallowed up by the fighting spirit of Fengju 2.0. Looking at this scene, Xiao Yan felt very anxious. Looking at this situation, he was certain, if the peach blossom fire is not forced into the nailing spirit quickly, the beast fire will be completely absorbed by the Xianhuang flame. The burning technique further accelerated its operation, and the fighting spirit carrying the peach blossom fire wandered towards a small gray light spot at the center of the cyclone. At the center of the cyclone, a small gray light point is suspended in it. Within the light point is the endless deep darkness. At the end of the darkness, it seems that there is another space hidden, which looks extremely mysterious. At the moment of contact, among the gray light spots, the light was quickly annihilated, and a terrifying suction force surged out, rapidly absorbing the peach blossom fire. When the Burning Jue 2.0 technique quietly began to evolve, Xiao Yan once again had a new understanding of the practice of the technique with the blessing of his heaven-defying understanding. Chapter 37 Burning Jue's Second Consecutive Promotion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 37 Burning Jue's Second Consecutive Promotion. Time passed slowly, and in the quiet cave, Yao Lao was suspended in mid-air, sitting cross-legged, staring at Xiao Yan closely. Calculating the time, we should almost succeed. Yao Lao murmured. Not long after Yao Lao finished speaking, the scorching temperature of the cave began to slowly converge into Xiao Yan's body. The cave, which was hot just now, suddenly became surprisingly cool. Yao Lao smiled slightly. Successful. I wonder how advanced Fengju has been, that Yao Lao speculated to himself. Anyway, it is impossible to jump directly to the Xian level. The jump of each level of skills is very different. Ta Huahuo may be able to let Fengju evolve to the level of the skills, but if you want to evolve to a higher level, Yao Lao smiled and shook his head, but did not continue. This was unrealistic. Beast fire and strange fire are essentially strange flames, but the strange fire takes longer to be born, and the energy it contains far exceeds that of beast fire. The energy contained in a mere 5th level peach blossom fire is far inferior to that of a naturally raised alien fire. The reason why the practice of burning technique is dangerous is that it requires swallowing the most violent alien fire and evolving with the help of the powerful energy contained in the alien fire. This is something that peach blossom fire cannot possess, and it is also one of the reasons why Xiao Yan's newly reborn Xianhuang flame cannot be directly used to upgrade the burning technique. Both are different fires, but they are also divided into mature different fires and young different fires. What Burning Jue wants to devour is naturally the mature and powerful alien fire on the alien fire list. Having witnessed the practice of Burning Jue with his own eyes, Yao Lao had some understanding of this technique. After merging with the peach blossom fire, Xiao Yan's mind sank into his body. The huge black-yellow Dou Qi cyclone continued to rotate, and in the center of the Dou Qi cyclone, there was a pink light spot flickering slightly. Looking at his own cyclone, Xiao Yan's mind moved slightly. A wisp of yellow and pink fighting spirit flowed out of it, and then started to rush along the route of the Burning Jue technique. Finally, Dou Qi flowed in specific meridians. Xiao Yan was able to find that wisps of fire attribute energy began to seep out of the surrounding space in the outside world, and then penetrated Xiao Yan's skin, and finally penetrated into the meridians, and were carried by purple Dou Qi. Then, a perfect cycle of the exercise was completed. After completing a cycle of exercises, Xiao Yan noticed that the fighting spirit coming out of the cyclone was now much more powerful and full than a few minutes ago. Observing Xiao Yan's practice, although due to Xiao Yan's special physique, the skills cannot be measured by common sense on him, Yao Lao has been following him, and after some calculations, he determined the level of the skills. Intermediate yellow level, only evolved one level. Yao Lao smiled in anticipation. The evolution of the technique requires extremely powerful, extraordinary fire. The mere peach blossom fire can barely evolve the technique to one level, which is already considered very good. Yao Lao still somewhat overestimated the power of the peach blossom fire. If Xiao Yan hadn't made some modifications to the burning technique and reached the level of 2.0, it would be difficult for the pure peach blossom fire to complete the evolution of the technique. Burning Jue 2.0 continued to operate, and the feeling in Xiao Yan's heart became clearer and clearer. You relied on your experience in practicing the burning technique, and you had an epiphany. You understood the great burning technique. The great Burning Jue, born out of Burning Jue 2.0, it retains the advantages of the Burning Jue 2.0 version in upgrading the fire attribute fighting spirit, retains the characteristics of Burning Jue's evolution of swallowing different fires, and the initial level is the low level of Xian level. Note, the low-level Xian level of the Great Burning Technique is based on the host's cultivation of Xianhuang Yan and fusion of peach blossom fire. If you start to practice this technique without the opportunity of a host, the level of the technique will range from the high level of Huang level to the low level of Quasi-Xian level. Right the way. Since the predecessors were able to create the low-level burning technique of the Huang class, then naturally I can also understand the more advanced techniques. The Great Burning Technique is just the beginning. The evolution of the technique can only rely on the help of animal fire and strange fire, as well as my heaven-defying understanding. Only by innovating and innovating can cultivation flourish day by day. If we just rest on our laurels, it will come to an end sooner or later along with the rupture of inheritance. After understanding the Great Burning Technique, Xiao Yan immediately began to try to practice it. Fighting energy quickly followed the more complicated meridian routes, and Xiao Yan's body once again seemed to turn into a huge black hole, wildly absorbing the energy of the world. Sure enough, there's something wrong again. Yao Lao's face suddenly became extremely ugly. Xiao Yan's practice has been strange many times, and he has almost gotten used to it. The terrifying energy of heaven and earth directly formed an energy vortex, causing the situation to change color. Black-yellow flames burst out, and the wisps of flame seemed to burst out of Xiao Yan's pores. The scorching high temperature in which muscles, bones, and cells were burned caused Xiao Yan to rapidly refine and absorb the rich energy of heaven and earth, and his fighting spirit increased at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, Xiao Yan's strength has not improved. After these increased, Dou Qi enters the Dou Qi cyclone. It causes the nebula-like Dou Qi cyclone to release bursts of energy ripples in all directions. The two palm-sized Dou Qi cyclones began to expand at this time, and the quality of the increasingly darker yellow Dou Qi flowing inside them was far from what it was before. In Dou Qi Continent, the difference between skills depends on 4 points. First, the degree to which the cyclone tolerates fighting spirit. If two people are of the same level, the person who practices Xian-level skills will definitely have far more endurance in combat than the person who practices Huang-level skills. Second, there is a difference in the quality of fighting spirit. At the same level, if a person who practices Xian-level skills spends 1 point of fighting spirit, a person who practices yellow-level skills will have to spend 10 times or even more fighting energy to achieve the same effect. Third, when practicing, the efficiency of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth to refine fighting spirit. The same person can absorb the energy of heaven and earth by practicing Xuanjie Kung Fu for 1 minute, but he may have to practice Huangjie Kung Fu for an hour or even longer. The fourth is that when fighting, people with Huang-level skills are far from being able to drive their fighting spirit as smoothly and quickly as people with Xian-level skills. Taking all of the above into account, the more advanced the cultivation technique, the greater the benefits it will bring. After frantically absorbing the energy of the world for a while, when everything returned to calm, Xiao Yan silently stared at the cyclone as spacious as a small lake. After a while, he gradually returned to his senses, his mind moved slightly. An array of black and yellow fighting energy flowed out of the cyclone, and then quickly flowed along the meridians. With the flow of fighting spirit, Xiao Yan could definitely feel that the tyrannical power in his body was gradually rising to a peak that had never been reached before. Watching the circulation route of Dou Qi closely, Xiao Yan clearly discovered that although the evolved exercise route was obviously more complicated than before, the time required for the exercise to complete a cycle was getting shorter and shorter. Chapter 38, Refining the Medicine. Let's begin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yao Lao was horrified. Even if Xiao Yan's talent was incredible, his cultivation speed was much faster than ordinary people. Even if he practiced ordinary skills, he could turn decay into magic, but the current speed of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth must be at least at the mysterious level. Can a peach blossom fire kindling have such a level, or? Xiao Yan opened his eyes when he saw it. Yao Lao could no longer hold back the doubts and shock in his heart, and grabbed Xiao Yan's wrist. As soon as he sensed Xiao Yan's current broad fighting cyclone, Yao Lao determined the level of Xiao Yan's technique, Xuanjie. It's Xuanjie. The low-level burning technique of Xuanjie. Immediately afterwards, Yao Lao let out a cry of surprise. Didn't the Xianhuang flame, which was condensed by the fighting energy, be fused with the first and fifth level beast fire to evolve the Burning Jue to the Xian level? That Yao Lao couldn't help but wonder, did the senior who created the Burning Jue play a joke on future generations? In fact, this magical burning technique only requires swallowing beast fire to advance quickly. But think about it, this is wrong. How can ordinary animal fire have the energy to evolve? Teacher, I have already said that this is the new burning technique. Xiao Yan shrugged helplessly, stretched out his right palm, and under the flow of fighting energy, a cluster of deep black-yellow flames suddenly appeared. Is it possible that the initial burning technique can cultivate my Xianhuang flame? Yao Lao nodded slightly and let go of Xiao Yan's wrist. The burning technique indeed changed a lot in the hands of Xiao Yan, the little guy. Then what is the level of your technique? Even though he is an 8th level alchemist, Yao Lao is still confused at this time. Xiao Yan stood up and stretched lazily, and the bones in his body suddenly crackled. Feeling the indescribable vitality and enrichment all over his body, Xiao Yan smiled and said, "Of course it has been improved again." It is indeed very strange that the Burning Jue can be integrated with different fires to advance, but the senior who created the Burning Jue may have reached his end, and the Burning Jue he created is somewhat nondescript. Yao Lao agreed very much with this, but the yellow level was low, and it was almost impossible for anyone to practice this kind of technique and endure the pain of fusing the alien fire. Geniuses who are likely to succeed in cultivation will lack advanced skills to practice. Who will risk a narrow escape? Xiao Yan raised his hand and touched his nose. If we can raise the initial level of the burning art to the advanced level of the heavenly level, and then retain the effect of integrating the different fires to advance, and break through the peak level of the Dou Qi Continent skills, I believe that such a skill can be a complete form of Burning Jue. Ever since I condensed the Xianhuang flame, this burning technique is very different from before. After these 3 days of practice, I have a deep understanding and made some changes again. Now the initial level of the great burning technique is in the Huangjie around the advanced level. It is reasonable to fuse the beast fire to advance to the profound level. Yao Lao. What kind of heaven-defying skill and understanding is this? Such a magical technique as Burning Jue has been greatly modified. So that's it. Yao Lao nodded calmly despite the turmoil in his heart. The next step is refining the medicine. With a powerful flame, if it cannot be controlled properly, it will only be a disaster for refining medicine. Xiao Yan naturally knew that Yao Lao was pretending now. This teacher is somewhat pedantic and does not want to lose face in front of his students. Yao Lao said in a deep voice, "Take out the medicine cauldron and start preparing the medicine." He tapped his fingers on the ring, and the light on the light red ring flickered slightly, and then a red medicine cauldron about 8 meters tall appeared out of thin air in the cave. This medicine cauldron was originally the goods of the Mitel family auction house in Telung City, but due to the number of alchemists, the medicine cauldron has been sitting there for several months. For the Mitel family, which puts profits first, If they don't sell it, it will be a loss. As soon as he heard that Wutan City had a need, he escorted them over overnight. The medicine cauldron is dark red in color, with a little bit of light on it. At the bottom of the medicine cauldron, there are two ferocious snake heads carved, and the snake's mouth is wide open, forming two connected fire holes. The hollow is curved and continuous, and the deeper it goes, the smaller the diameter becomes. Looking faintly, it seems that there is something mysterious inside. At the top of the medicine cauldron, a giant snake coils itself into a dark red cauldron cover. There is also a special hole in the cauldron cover, which is a place where medicinal materials are specially put. There are some fine holes made of ice silver scattered on the lid of the tripod, which have the effect of dissipating heat and preventing the furnace from exploding due to high temperatures. In the middle part of the medicine cauldron, there is a transparent mirror made of ice essence. From here, you can clearly see everything going on inside when refining the medicine. The surface of the medicine cauldron is painted with beautiful carvings of monsters, which look lifelike, like living creatures. The two-mouth cauldron is pretty good for a novice like you. Glancing at the snake mouth on the dark red medicine cauldron, Yao Lao said calmly. Looking at Xiao Yan's face, Yao Lao said seriously, since you have obtained two kinds of flames, you have surpassed most alchemists at the beginning. You must know that only a fourth-grade alchemist or above can directly summon a substantial flame without skipping the step of transforming the medicine cauldron. Xiao Yan smiled slightly. With this medicine cauldron and the two flames he now controls, the equipment can be said to have been greatly improved. Things that could not be achieved by relying on doctors in the past, I believe will be gradually created. Yao Lao directly poured cold water on Xiao Yan and said, "Don't be happy too early. Having substantial flames in advance is not necessarily a good thing." "How do you say that?" Xiao Yan asked doubtfully. He had only been exposed to doctors' methods and had not yet come into contact with the actual information on medicine refining. He was still a novice in medicine refining. Yao Lao explained, to directly use substantial flames to refine medicine, you need to control a trace of the wood attribute in your body to neutralize the violent factor of the flames. The substantial flame is much more violent than the transformation fire of the medicine cauldron, and without the assistance of the medicine cauldron, it will be difficult for you to find a trace of the power of wood in your body. To put it simply, refining medicine is like a child wielding a sledgehammer. Not only can you not do much work, you may also hurt yourself. Xiao Yan nodded slightly, so that was it. Yao Lao stretched out his fingers and touched Xiao Yan's forehead, and a message was transmitted into the latter's head. "This is my self-prepared prescription for healing medicine. Just try to refine it. I will remind you at any time to control the temperature of the flame and refine the ingredients of the medicinal materials." After absorbing the extra information in his mind, Xiao Yan finally understood the complexity of the alchemist's prescription. Coagulation powder, a coagulation grass, a vitality fruit, 2 poppies. After memorizing the number of medicinal materials in his mind, Xiao Yan's soul perception gradually invaded the medicine cauldron. With a flick of his finger, a wisp of pink flame was thrown into the medicine cauldron. Chapter 39, Refining the Medicine. Let's begin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yao Lao was horrified. Even if Xiao Yan's talent was incredible, his cultivation speed was much faster than ordinary people. Even if he practiced ordinary skills, he could turn decay into magic, but the current speed of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth must be at least at the mysterious level. Can a peach blossom fire kindling have such a level, or? Xiao Yan opened his eyes when he saw it. Yao Lao could no longer hold back the doubts and shock in his heart, and grabbed Xiao Yan's wrist. As soon as he sensed Xiao Yan's current broad fighting cyclone, Yao Lao determined the level of Xiao Yan's technique, Xuanjie. It's Xuanjie. The low-level burning technique of Xuanjie. Immediately afterwards, Yao Lao let out a cry of surprise. Didn't the Xianhuang flame, which was condensed by the fighting energy, be fused with the 1st and 5th level beast fire to evolve the Burning Jue to the Xian level? That Yao Lao couldn't help but wonder, did the senior who created the Burning Jue play a joke on future generations? In fact, this magical burning technique only requires swallowing beast fire to advance quickly. But think about it, this is wrong. How can ordinary animal fire have the energy to evolve? Teacher, I have already said that this is the new burning technique. Xiao Yan shrugged helplessly, stretched out his right palm, and under the flow of fighting energy, a cluster of deep black-yellow flames suddenly appeared. Is it possible that the initial burning technique can cultivate my Xianhuang flame? Yao Lao nodded slightly and let go of Xiao Yan's wrist. The burning technique indeed changed a lot in the hands of Xiao Yan, the little guy. Then what is the level of your technique? Even though he is an 8th level alchemist, Yao Lao is still confused at this time. Xiao Yan stood up and stretched lazily, and the bones in his body suddenly crackled, feeling the indescribable vitality and enrichment all over his body. Xiao Yan smiled and said, "Of course it has been improved again. It is indeed very strange that the Burning Jue can be integrated with different fires to advance, but the senior who created the Burning Jue may have reached his end, and the Burning Jue he created is somewhat nondescript." Yao Lao agreed very much with this, but the yellow level was low, and it was almost impossible for anyone to practice this kind of technique and endure the pain of fusing the alien fire. Geniuses who are likely to succeed in cultivation will lack advanced skills to practice. Who will risk a narrow escape? Xiao Yan raised his hand and touched his nose. If we can raise the initial level of the burning art to the advanced level of the heavenly level, and then retain the effect of integrating the different fires to advance, and break through the peak level of the Dou Qi Continent skills, I believe that such a skill can be a complete form of Burning Jue. Ever since I condensed the Xianhuang flame, this burning technique is very different from before. After these 3 days of practice, I have a deep understanding and made some changes again. Now the initial level of the great burning technique is in the Huangjia around the advanced level. It is reasonable to fuse the beast fire to advance to the profound level. Yao Lao. What kind of heaven-defying skill and understanding is this? Such a magical technique as Burning Jue has been greatly modified. So that's it. Yao Lao nodded calmly despite the turmoil in his heart. The next step is refining the medicine. With a powerful flame, if it cannot be controlled properly, it will only be a disaster for refining medicine. Xiao Yan naturally knew that Yao Lao was pretending now. This teacher is somewhat pedantic and does not want to lose face in front of his students. Yao Lao said in a deep voice, "Take out the medicine cauldron and start preparing the medicine." He tapped his fingers on the ring, and the light on the light red ring flickered slightly, and then a red medicine cauldron about 8 meters tall appeared out of thin air in the cave. This medicine cauldron was originally the goods of the Mitel family auction house in Telung City, but due to the number of alchemists, the medicine cauldron has been sitting there for several months. For the Mitel family, which puts profits first, if they don't sell it, it will be a loss. As soon as he heard that Wutan City had a need, he escorted them over overnight. The medicine cauldron is dark red in color, with a little bit of light on it. At the bottom of the medicine cauldron, there are 2 ferocious snake heads carved, and the snake's mouth is wide open, forming 2 connected fire holes. The hollow is curved and continuous, and the deeper it goes, the smaller the diameter becomes. Looking faintly, it seems that there is something mysterious inside. At the top of the medicine cauldron, a giant snake coils itself into a dark red cauldron cover. There is also a special hole in the cauldron cover, which is a place where medicinal materials are specially put. There are some fine holes made of ice silver scattered on the lid of the tripod, which have the effect of dissipating heat and preventing the furnace from exploding due to high temperatures. In the middle part of the medicine cauldron, there is a transparent mirror made of ice essence. From here, you can clearly see everything going on inside when refining the medicine. The surface of the medicine cauldron is painted with beautiful carvings of monsters, which look lifelike, like living creatures. The 2-mouth cauldron is pretty good for a novice like you. Glancing at the snake mouth on the dark red medicine cauldron, Yao Lao said calmly. Looking at Xiao Yan's face, Yao Lao said seriously, "Since you have obtained 2 kinds of flames, you have surpassed most alchemists at the beginning. You must know that only a 4th-grade alchemist or above can directly summon a substantial flame without skipping the step of transforming the medicine cauldron." Xiao Yan smiled slightly. With this medicine cauldron and the 2 flames he now controls, the equipment can be said to have been greatly improved. Things that could not be achieved by relying on doctors in the past, I believe will be gradually created. Yao Lao directly poured cold water on Xiao Yan and said, "Don't be happy too early. Having substantial flames in advance is not necessarily a good thing." "How do you say that?" Xiao Yan asked doubtfully. He had only been exposed to doctors' methods and had not yet come into contact with the actual information on medicine refining. He was still a novice in medicine refining, Yao Lao explained. To directly use substantial flames to refine medicine, you need to control a trace of the wood attribute in your body to neutralize the violent factor of the flames. The substantial flame is much more violent than the transformation fire of the medicine cauldron, and without the assistance of the medicine cauldron, it will be difficult for you to find a trace of the power of wood in your body. To put it simply, refining medicine is like a child wielding a sledgehammer. Not only can you not do much work, you may also hurt yourself. Xiao Yan nodded slightly, so that was it. Yao Lao stretched out his fingers and touched Xiao Yan's forehead, and a message was transmitted into the latter's head. This is my self-prepared prescription for healing medicine. Just try to refine it. I will remind you at any time to control the temperature of the flame and refine the ingredients of the medicinal materials. After absorbing the extra information in his mind, Xiao Yan finally understood the complexity of the alchemist's prescription. Coagulation powder, a coagulation grass, a vitality fruit, 2 poppies. After memorizing the number of medicinal materials in his mind, Xiao Yan's soul perception gradually invaded the medicine cauldron. With a flick of his finger, a wisp of pink flame was thrown into the medicine cauldron. Chapter 40, The understanding of refining medicine is also incredible. Yao Lao is shocked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first time he made medicine, Xiao Yan didn't have much experience yet, so he didn't use the stronger Xianhuang Yan. The great burning technique has absolute control over flames, but Xiao Yan has never noticed the trace of wood attribute power that Yao Lao mentioned. Slowly closing his eyes, Xiao Yan's mind slowly calmed down, and with his powerful soul perception, he carefully explored the slight trace of wood power that existed in him. Yao Lao's wrinkled old face smiled as brightly as a blooming chrysanthemum. Little guy, alchemy is not that easy to master, especially if your starting point is too high and your strength is too strong. It will not be easy to master. After careful exploration, Xiao Yan quickly discovered a ray of light green air existing in his body. I think this is what Yao Lao calls the power of wood. This thing has always existed, but he has never seriously looked for it. With a thought, this imperceptible light green airflow joined the medicine cauldron, and the pink flame suddenly trembled. This extremely gentle peach blossom fire suddenly became more docile. Found it? Yao Lao was very surprised when he noticed the change in the flames. It had been less than 3 minutes. When he first searched for the power of wood in his body, it took him nearly half an hour. This shows how powerful Xiao Yan's soul perception is. Over the years, Xiao Yan has cultivated not only fighting spirit, but also soul power. However, Yao Lao has always focused on fighting for Xiao Yando's energy, ignoring the slowly growing soul power. Over time, Xiao Yan's soul power has already approached the low level of the mortal realm. The soul power is strong enough to be rated. Xiao Yan's soul power has already surpassed many alchemists at this time. After completing the control of the peach blossom fire, Xiao Yan flicked his finger on the ring, and a dark red blood coagulation grass was put into the medicine cauldron. As soon as the blood coagulation grass entered the medicine cauldron, the gentle peach blossom fire rushed up. In the blink of an eye, the dark red grass blades quickly turned brown. The prescription of Ningxue powder may be very difficult for ordinary novice alchemists, but for Xiao Yan, who has an extremely powerful soul, it is as simple as reading a first-year textbook for the 3rd year of high school. Xiao Yan used his soul power to control the temperature of the peach blossom fire, making it reach the temperature described in the prescription. The faint flames carried a temperature that was neither hot nor cold, slowly baking the blood-clotting grass suspended above the flames. As the baking continued, drops of crystal liquid began to seep out of the surface of the coagulation grass. During the churning in the flames, the liquid was smoked into a little bit of pale white powder. As more and more pale white powder appears, the coagulation grass shrinks rapidly, until the last drop of liquid was squeezed out. Its body turned into pitch-black ashes and fell to the bottom of the medicine cauldron, benefiting from the 5th-level beast fire called peach blossom fire, which even an experienced alchemist could only dream of. Xiao Yan was able to refine it extremely fast, and the whole process only took 2 or 3 minutes. Seeing Xiao Yan's exceptionally smooth success, Yao Lao was extremely horrified. What a powerful soul power! It is about to reach the low level of the mortal realm. This is simply a miracle for an 11-year-old boy. And using such powerful soul power, you can actually control the flames so delicately. The little guy Xiao Yan's medicine refining ability at this time is no less than that of a second-grade pharmacist. It's just a matter of cultivating the fighting spirit in the mother's womb. Could it be that the art of refining medicine is also innate? Xiao Yan's talent in alchemy was far beyond Yao Lao's imagination. While Yao Lao was marveling, Xiao Yan had already taken out a living energy fruit and tempered it into a small, slightly black particle. With a deep understanding of the medicinal properties of medicinal materials, Xiao Yan knew that these granules had the effect of removing congestion and activating blood circulation. In the wild, some experienced injured mercenaries, if they did not have enough healing medicine, would often crush the vitality fruit into minced meat to reduce their injuries. After calcining and tempering the two medicinal materials, Xiao Yan felt that he was on the right track. He took out 2 poppy flowers without any hesitation and put them into the medicinal cauldron. After the light red liquid was calcined, Xiao Yan suddenly shouted, "Melt!" That Yao Lao's eyes narrowed and he stared at the inside of the medicine cauldron. Under the coercion of soul power, the 3 medicines immediately began to turn into a dark red paste. The resistance of materials to temperature is different. And due to different prescriptions, the calcination temperature is also different. The entire process does not maintain a stable temperature, but changes every time. At the fusion stage, in addition to the fact that various materials have different resistances to temperature, the flame temperatures surrounding all materials are even more different, and a flame will show several different temperatures. This is the biggest test for an alchemist. Many alchemists will fail in this last step because the temperature in a certain part of the flame is not well controlled, resulting in the failure of the entire refining. It is because of the final fusion that the difficulty of controlling the flame is several times that of calcining and tempering the medicinal materials alone. Under Xiao Yan's control, the peach blossom fire switches between high and low flame temperatures like flowing water, perfectly controlling the temperature of each flame so that every material can be perfectly integrated at the appropriate temperature. As the last handful of paste was tempered, the color of the entire paste became darker and darker, exuding a strong medicinal smell. He took out the paste, his palm was filled with pink flames, and he divided it into hundreds of small pieces of paste liquid like a sharp knife, and put them into the jade bottle. Picking up a jade bottle casually, Xiao Yan realized firsthand how powerful the alchemist was. For the same medicinal material, the potency quenched with the alchemist's flame material is several times more pure than the potency quenched with ordinary fire. Ordinary medicinal materials can exert the effect of rare medicinal materials in the hands of an alchemist, and high-quality medicinal materials will be more effective in the hands of an alchemist. If he had already had this method, the medicinal materials he had consumed before could be used to make multiple more powerful hell's bows. Looking at the crimson jade bottle, Yao Lao was shocked. The refining was successful in one go, and this coagulation powder was a perfect replica of the prescription records. Generally speaking, due to the different strengths and conditions of the alchemists, the elixirs refined each time will be somewhat different, but they only fluctuate within the range where the prescription can be successful. Xiao Yan's record of perfectly realizing the prescription would be difficult for an alchemist to successfully refine once 100 times. It's just that the understanding of cultivating the skills and fighting skills is against the heavens, but the understanding of refining the medicine is also against the heavens. Just when the cave fell into silence, there was a muffled buzzing sound, and a cluster of black-yellow flames appeared in Xiao Yan's palm. This time, he will use strange fire to refine the elixir. Even with healing medicine like Ningxue powder, there is room for improvement.